We are going to dig deep into the secrets of Silicon Valhalla. And the author and speaker is a fantastic colleague of mine that actually took my job. He's the CEO of our group, but he's also one of the foremost experts of corporate innovation, or how large organizations can develop something incredibly rapidly. And he applied that to writing a book in a very short period of time and sell it all over the world. And we're going to hear that story and the story of Silicon Valhalla, told by a gentleman from India, Mahesh Kumar.
Thanks. Hey guys. Yes. How are you today? I've always wanted to be introduced as an author with electronic music playing before. Dream come true today. Thank you, Ola and Laurie, for the introduction. I'm very, very excited to launch our book at Sime, sitting on a swing, with 3D things happening behind me that I have no idea if it's going to work, but I really hope it does. We live in crazy times. Do you agree? Robots having sex with men and women and everything we've been talking about yesterday. But I think it's even more crazier that it's an Indian Viking author at a digital conference. I'm going to tell you a Viking saga. I look like a perfect Viking, right? So all right, let's jump in. A quick shameless brag. I'm the CEO of Result, as Ola said, and we do 3 things, and we do it quite well. And we've been doing it for many years. We've been doing it for 16 years, actually. One is we build our own companies, and we call it with unfair advantages, something that makes the probability of us succeeding higher. Yeah? So for example, Epicenter, if you know Epicenter, that's something we started. We've been working with internationalization. So Blocket, for example, and LinkedIn, and many fast-growing companies, we've taken them across the world. So we call it co-entrepreneurship, where we work with fast-growing entrepreneurs. And we thought about 10 years ago, why don't we bring that spirit into large companies? Because let's face it, all smart people have jobs, right? They're not sitting in a basement eating noodles. And we thought, how can we provide a little bit more of a toolkit to create much more impact in large companies? And that's when we started our innovation lab about 10 years ago and built methodologies from there. And we run it at Epicenter today. And one thing we do in the innovation lab is work with high clock speed. Are you familiar with the word clock speed? So clock speed is when, instead of taking 3 years to get something done, let's do it in 3 weeks, as much as is possible, break it down into small chunks and bits. And it was a Wednesday evening somewhere in March, April, and me and Ola were hanging out drinking some wine. And we said, this is great with our methodology. It's really producing results. We work with SCB and Merck and all these great companies. And it's starting to produce results. What is our own dream? And I said, well, my dream when I was growing up was to become an author, was to write a trilogy. Have you ever dreamt that? Write a trilogy. Write 3 books. Write a series of books. I was a nerdy Indian skinny dude growing up. I loved reading books. And it's funny because books are meaningful, magical, meaningful, and impactful. Do you remember the first impactful book you read? It changes your perspective. And that's what we love about books. So we thought, let's take our lab methodology and write a book. So we wrote a book in 6 weeks, and we're presenting it for the first time today. And the book is as much about the process of how we wrote it, which I want to talk about, which I hope you can take some learnings out of, and also do a tribute to amazing people sitting here, to all the Swedish entrepreneurs and intrapreneurs that have done fantastic things. Are you ready? Fantastic. So how to innovate really fast, yeah? And this is the book, how we wrote the book. This feels good, actually, with the swing. Anyway, so what is the book writing perception? You drink a lot of wine, you go away into your country house, there's water, and it's mountains, and you get your creative flow. Well, that's one way to write a book. The other way to write a book is start Googling how to write a book, and this is what you get. I don't really see the text. It says, write at least 300 words a day. Allot some time. It's like we're children. Allot some time. It's very important. We thought, forget all that. Let's write the book in the first 6 weeks. So after that wine night, when we said, let's write a book, the next day I went back, spent 30 minutes, and put up a web page, and I'm going to talk to you about that. But before we even started writing the book, we knew why and what people liked about it. We have not written a single word, but we knew why and what people would like about it if we wrote it. And the first hypothesis was that majority buy management books, but you never read it. Is that true? You buy a lot of management books, but you don't have time. You watch TED Talks instead. Nobody admits that, but you want to give it away to friends on Christmas gifts because you appear smart. But in essence, you get all your knowledge from TED Talks. The second thing is that cartoon books always sell. It's evergreen. It sells all the time, and it will always sell as long as we have children, even with robots, I guess. So we thought, we love entrepreneurship and history, and Sweden is a great brand globally. Is there something to do together with all these 4 things? So we ended up writing the start of the first book, a trilogy cartoon book about entrepreneurship and Vikings, telling amazing stories from Silicon Valhalla. And the book, the cover on the right-hand side was what we did on, we had wine that Wednesday, Thursday. I took Bamse's cover and put a little illustration that we did and put it online. And put up this very simple webpage and said, pre-order now. We didn't have a book, but when people clicked pre-order now, we asked them for an email address. And then we sent them a survey asking them, what do you like about books? What kind of books do you want to read? What do you like about the Vikings? And blah, blah, blah. And then we had different covers. The right-hand side cover is the right-hand side cover is Pippi Longstocking's book. We just took the cover that works, that people understand, they relate to, and just tried around with different iterations of the cover. And what you're going to see today is the best iteration that has won all kinds of tests online. And that's the flag of Sweden, actually. Anyway, we kept our creative vision, but we were not delusional. We loved being creative, but we were not delusional about it. But if you were in a large organization, and we see this time and time again, we'd have been spending 3 years writing a fictional business case on the book. And that's kind of sad. And that's what we do in the lab, where we say there's a 6S methodology for creating innovation with impact. It starts by doing something strategic. It starts by understanding what you're doing. Is this innovation strategic? Okay? The second thing is it shared so that it's not rebellious? It's not, we are smarter than them. It's shared. Okay? The third thing, it's slim. Is it costs are low, or does it make more money than it costs? The fourth thing is it's systematic. So there is a methodology, there's processes. You do things every day. It runs at high clock speed. It's space. It runs at a different space. It's not within your same walls. And it's seen. So there's visibility. This is what we worked with in our book. Okay. On the other hand, if we were a startup, now switching sort of gears, if we were a startup, we'd been trying to perfect our book product and launch 18 months later, and people would still not buy it. And we'd be working probably with the wrong people. So the takeaway here is, me and Ola wrote the book. We love each other. We've been working with so many years. The who is more important than the what. Who you build things with is more important than what you do. And don't aim for perfection. Aim for good, and then you'll find perfection along the way. And most startups forget the business model. It's like, oh, it'll come after we have 1 billion users. Well, that happens very rare. Our business model is very simple. We're going to sell you books. It costs 149 crowns. Today at Sime, it's free. We have a bunch of copies for you outside the restaurant. I'll come back to that. And then we're going to do something called the Enterprise Saga. So if you're a large company and you want to tell your story, like we have told our Viking story with entrepreneurship, we can write that with you for you. That's our business model. So don't forget the business model, and don't forget the product, how you sort of not wait for perfection in your product. So don't you agree that you have more, all of you have ideas, more ideas plus good execution is a beautiful society? Think about all the ideas you've had, and think about connecting that in a very short period of time. That's impact, I believe. Now I want to switch gears, and I almost want you to sit back and enjoy this tribute with me. We are living in a special country. You have a beautiful Swedish story. And I want to take you through that. When I moved to Sweden, my impression of Sweden was ABBA and IKEA. Yeah, that was 8 years ago. But you guys do some good shit up here, huh? You don't understand how good shit is here. You really don't. But travel the world, you'll see, shit, Sweden is amazing. Starting with the mindset, you stay out of wars and petty quarrels. You're conflict-red or conflict-afraid, and you don't interfere in wars. It's great. You mind your own business. You're logical and practical, like your Viking forefathers. You build your own house, and you do your own things, and you're very logical and very practical. You're silently ambitious. You're not loud and brash. You're silently ambitious, but you're not naive. And I think that's very, very, very key balance to have. A lot of you see the difference between vision and hallucination. You're a little bit more realistic, but you see the difference between vision and hallucination. That infidel Axel Sandemos and Jantelagen, but you're moving away from it now. Because you entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs start with a dream and ask why. Look at Daniel Ek, the way he asked why. How can we create the future of music? Just perceived and got the industry with him. We think it's fantastic. You respect all crafts, women and men. You're so equal. You don't understand how equal you are. You still have some ways to go. It's still not perfect, but you're so equal. Coming from India, it's a revelation for me. It's amazing how equal you are. You're shit at small talk, but you're extremely nice and execution focused. I always talk about the weather. Every time I spoke about the weather, if I had $1, I'd be a billionaire. But you're shit at small talk, but super execution focused. You work much more effective. You go to Korea, they work 18 hours, and you realize you do that in 6 hours here. It's amazing what you've done. You have forefathers like Johann Salk von Holstein and Stian Beck and all these amazing guys that have shown you the way. And the next generation of entrepreneurs and intrapreneurs are just taking that spotlight to an even bigger stage. Clap if you agree. You have no brilliant jerks. You're all nice guys. Clap if you agree. You're a team of equals, and you're well-traveled and curious. You're one of the most traveled people in the world. And because of that, every self-respecting Viking that builds companies or in a large company, you take international from day one. But you sharpen and test your tools at home. And you bring the soil that made your idea succeed to other countries. And you build beautiful, bloody beautiful products. It's beautiful to use Swedish products. And lots of American companies have Swedish designers, everything from Dropbox to... you go international to make money, not spend it. Thank you, Smallland, for that. You're very money conscious. Great. And there are more pages like these in the book with cases and how and why Sweden is amazing and how and why it's our responsibility as entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs to take this forward. Do you like it? Thank you. So we have about 350 books for you. It's free. It's at Sime. You can find it by the restaurant. If you go out by the restaurant to the right, we have a corner called the Silicon Valhalla Corner. Go there, get your book copy. Please send us what you think of it. We're still testing and iterating. It's our first version. And I want to give a special shout out. Do you like the illustrations that you see? Isn't it beautiful? This is the man. This is the man, Niels. Where are you, Niels? Big hats off to you. Thank you for putting together. Oh, that's not you. You're somewhere here. Well done. He's a fantastic artist, a phenomenal guy. Just takes our vision and makes that into paint, brushes, strokes. It's beautiful. Thank you very much. I'm stuck here.
Thank you very much.
Did I jump? Okay.